Hey guys, Liz here from Hotbodies Racing. Today we're going to be teaching you how to get rid of this back mud flap here. We're going to put on one of our dead sexy Fender Eliminators, and we're going to teach you how to do that on the brand new 2011 Honda CBR250R. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take off this rear seat here, right out. Then we're going to take off this piece of fairing that's on top of the taillight. There's two screws holding it on. And there's a little bit of a trick to getting this off. We're going to pull it back and then slide it up. It has 4 hooks on the inside. And it comes right out. Next thing we're going to do is take off these handles. You're going to need a number 12 for the bolts. So we'll do that now. Alright, so now that we have both of those removed, we're going to take out the pop rivets that are under the tail. So let's get done. Okay, so we're going to take the pop rivets out from the under tail here. Then we're going to take the ones off of the side fairings. This will give us a little bit of room to actually pull off this undertail piece that hooks to the mud flap. Now, these will move sideways a little bit, so you can pop this right out. That'll give you access to all the electrical, so we can pull the mud flap off. Just disconnect everything, it'll make it easier. Okay, so now that we've disconnected the electrical, we're going to take off 3 bolts holding the taillight to the bike. There's 2 on top here, and there's 1 up under the bottom. I'll show you how to get to that one in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to get this bolt out right up under here. It's another tricky one, so just be careful not to strip it. We're also going to need to remove 2 bolts that are hidden up under on the sides. You can access them just kind of right on the side here. Okay, so now we're going to remove the mud flap from the actual subframe. Once we loosen that up, everything will kind of come off. There's 3 bolts, 2 on the top of the tail and 1 under here. It's pretty difficult to get to. I recommend getting a short, size 12. You just kind of slide it in here, and you're just going to have to work on it a little bit. It's not very easy. Okay, once you've got it loose enough, you can just use your fingers to finish threading it out. Okay, now we're going to remove the 2 bolts on top here. They're much easier to get to. And now everything's just kind of going to come out. Like that. So the next thing we're going to do is take off the 4 screws that are holding the license plate light to the mud flap. We'll transfer this and use this with our Fender Eliminator. Here's this. Then we need a number 8, and we're going to undo the bolts on the inside. We're going to put it on our new Fender Eliminator. Alright, so now we're going to be installing the license plate light on the bracket included in your kit. The rubber grommet is going to go on the outside. Then the silver washers are going to go in from the back. Sliding the electrical of the license plate light through the hole. You're going to want to make sure that the light part faces down so you can illuminate your license plate light. And then screw on the nuts. Now we're going to remove the turn signals from the tail. You're going to need a number 14. Make sure you grab the washer as well. I'm just going to put this right back on the light just to make sure we don't lose anything. And there's a square bracket that also comes with your kit. You're going to install the lights on this. How you're going to install them is a little bit tricky. You can see the hole's a little bit off center. You want to make sure that the back of the light is facing the back of this bracket. Just like that. The washer and the nut go on the inside. Then we're going to install the other light. And we're ready to go. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to install the license plate. I've taken the stock hardware off of the mud flap, and you're just going to attach the license plate. It's a little bit difficult, so you kind of just have to play with it a little bit. Okay, now that we've got that installed, we're going to move on to the lights. They're going to look like that, somewhat. We're not actually going to install them yet. They're going to go on with the main bolts when we install it on the bike. But what we do want to do now is take the electrical, and there are two holes here and here. We're going to push these through before installation. Then we're going to tape these wires up as far as we can. That way we'll be able to reach them a little bit better. Now, let's go put it on the bike. Okay, so now we're going to install the new tag bracket on the bike. You're going to push these side fairings out just a little bit. They are still loose, so that'll give us a little bit of play to get in position. Now we're going to line up the bolts, go through the one with the turn signals on it, up through the Fender Eliminator, and up to the subframe that's on the inside. Next, we're going to grab the license plate light, slide that in. You want that to go between the Fender Eliminator and the bolt on the subframe. It should fit right like that. Slide that through both pieces and tighten into the subframe. Now that all that's done, we're just going to finish up with the bolts. Next is going to be the electrical and the taillight. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is connect all of the electrical. They're all color-coded, so just go with that. So once the electrical is connected, we're going to attach the tail fairing to the tail light using one screw. So now we're going to install the whole entire taillight assembly in place. It takes a little bit of maneuvering. You have to make sure all the tabs are hooked and everything gets latched correctly. Okay, so it takes a little bit of maneuvering, but once you get it, you're good to go. Next thing we're going to do is install the pop rivets that go along the bottom. There are the two smaller pop rivets that go on the inside and the pop rivets on the outside. Well, once the taillight's in place, we're going to finish connecting the electrical. It's a little tight, so you just got to make do with what you got. Then we're going to screw the taillight in. Now I just need to install a couple of the stock parts. Top tail fairing is going to go right on. Line up the tabs on the inside and then slide it forward. Alright, now install the 2 front screws. Next is going to be the handles on the outside here. Alright, we're going to install the rear seat. And it looks like we're finished. To be honest, this is not one of the easiest installs to do. If you're a squid, just spend the money and actually take it to a shop to get it done. Unless you've had a lot of experience, I mean, once again, I really don't recommend it. But it looks good. Let's go for a ride.